You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
There we go, final score and Belarus. I don't know about you guys, it was a bit weird watching the game, not because Scotland won, but there was no fans there tonight. Anyway, final score, Belarus 0, Scotland 2, and a very professional job done. Talking about professional people, we've got a professional panel. Apart from myself, we've got Telfer, and we have got the man himself, Ethan. Get your comments coming in after that game. Telfer, hopefully you can hear this time, but how do you think the game went? Oh, I think we're having some technical issues. Ethan, what do you think of the game?
No, yeah, it was, as you said, a professional performance by Scotland. Wasn't the prettiest football match, wasn't the prettiest atmosphere, obviously, with no fans in the stadium. Definitely flashbacks to lockdown football tonight, with when you can hear the players shouting at each other and hear the coaches as well, Steve Clarke, and yeah, just a strange game in general, obviously being played in Hungary and Zali Gerzeg. But yeah, Scotland get the job done and get 4 points, and that's what we were looking for coming into this break. So they put themselves in a really good position, and results elsewhere in the group, but would only make it more convincing, and would probably give the Scotland team and fans more confidence going into the October international break next month as well.
Yeah, I know. So, but Scotland got the goal in the right side at half time. I think it was about 4 or 5 minutes before half time. Perfect goal. But the goal, if the game went on now, still 0-0 by half time, you'd be like, a bit worried as well. But fair play to Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. They kept plugging away at it, and although I don't think that Scotland were brilliant in that first half, they kept going at it, and before they did score, they had a little bit of sustained pressure. They kept recycling the ball. Max Johnston, who I thought his crossing was pretty poor for the most part on the night. He was throwing a lot of kind of hitting hopes into the box, not really picking out players or areas where there was Scotland players in it. But he chose to play it to John McGinn, who swings in a lovely ball with his left foot to the back post. Scott McTominay's there and headers it across the box, the 6-yard line brilliantly for Shea Adams, who was on the periphery of the game in the first half, didn't really get on the ball at all. He was dropping deep to get on it, but that's his job as a striker, to be in the right place at the right time, gets that massive goal, which relieves a lot of pressure off Scotland. And yeah, the second half was a lot more relaxed, and I'm sure for the players and certainly us as fans, because I don't think you ever really thought that Belarus were going to get a goal, and that's the way it should be. But yeah, good for Scotland. They get 3 points on the board, 4 in total now, and they can take real confidence into the next break, knowing that they've got the potential to get positive results against every team in the group. Based off what we've seen on Friday night against Denmark, tonight against Belarus, and away in Piraeus against Greece in the first leg of that Nations League. I said it was in Athens in the pre-show, and I said Scotland drew that match, forgetting they actually won it with a Scott McTominay goal. But that match gets forgotten by a lot of Scotland fans, as does the tie, obviously, as what happened at Hampden. But yeah, Scotland have put themselves in a really good position, and if they play to their maximum potential, there's no reason why they can't even top this group, although it'll be difficult.
Good evening to Reagan. He's watching us in sunny Lanzarote. Enough, it's been warmer over here today than it has in Land. No, it's not. I'm just waffling again. Graham, good evening. Thanks for watching. It's very comfortable for Scotland tonight. Right, okay, let's go for first time lucky for Telfer. Okay, yeah, I think it's going to be one of these nights. I don't know what's happening, as well. One more time, I'm going to put it to VAR, and we might give you a yellow card for diving. But there you go. So yeah, we were saying on the pre-show as well, Ethan, that it's going to be a wee bit of a feel good factor if Scotland picks up 3 points tonight after building on that impressive point against Denmark now. And obviously because Denmark won, it was more that score was very kind of like good for Scotland to especially to go over to Denmark and pick up a point.
Yeah, you're completely right. The result against Denmark looks an even better one now that we've seen them go to Piraeus against Greece and beat Greece pretty easily. Greece barely laid a glove on them looking at the stats. Greece had 4 shots, 1 on target and 0.17 expected goals created. Denmark pretty dominant in the game and obviously join us on 4 points. But the fact that we've went over there to Copenhagen and kept a clean sheet, and we've got to play the advantage of playing Denmark at home now, then we've got to look at that as a positive. And although it doesn't mean we're going to do anything at home to Denmark, because obviously we got a really good result away to Greece and then get battered, quite frankly, at home at Hampden. So still a lot to do, but the Scotland fans can definitely be confident and excited about the 2 performances, the 2 clean sheets. Greece not looking maybe the team that we thought they might be, and I know it's only 2 games, 2 very different games. The best team in the group and the worst team in the group they go up against. They obviously won very handsomely against Belarus on Friday night, but struggle on their own patch against Denmark tonight. So yeah, Scotland have shown that they're capable of beating any team in this group, and if they really play to their strengths and find the best 11, and I think we learned a lot about the finding the best 11 and who should be in that tonight, then yeah, there's no reason why Scotland can't aim for top of the group, because as we spoke about on Friday night, the second place, you need to play 2 rounds of playoffs, which is just not really what you want to be doing. So ideally you go through straight to the World Cup as the group winner.
Yeah, as I'm going to build Telfer up now, because obviously he might give me an answer, maybe not. We'll find out in the next 2 seconds. But Graham says the only negative for me was bringing the subs on too late. And I think that Lennon Miller, I don't know if he got a touch of the ball, Telfer, when they came on with 2 minutes to go. So yeah, I'm not actually sure what's happening at Telfer's end tonight, but yeah, we'll stick with Telfer and hopefully he'll come on soon, and stuff. But yeah, that was more on the kind of down part for me about, like, because I know that we've been saying before. I mean, the game was well over, 20 minutes to go. Why did you not fling them on then?
Yeah, exactly that. It is frustrating, and we spoke about it the other night, although we credited Steve Clarke for the lineup and the substitutions to go as well. The fact that they got that point, which was what we all kind of looked at the game and said would be a great result. But I was making the point that if he was a little bit more ambitious with substitutions, made them a little bit earlier, then maybe Scotland could have nicked even a winner. And I know you obviously don't want to lose the match. The only substitution he made, I believe, before the 80th minute the other night was bringing Aaron Hickey off for Max Johnson, because Aaron Hickey's barely played football over the last couple of years, unfortunately, through injuries. And tonight, Steve Clarke made his first sub after Carlos Alos, the Belarus manager, had made all 5 of his. So kind of shows how late in the game he's making the subs to the point where they're making little to no impact. And in this game, they didn't have to make any impact, but it seems to be the case whether Scotland are winning, drawing, losing, need to get a result, or in a good position to get a result. He just waits until the last minute to make the substitutions. And I know it's been his style in the past, but it's just so annoying when you've got players that you want to develop, young talents that haven't really had a lot of game time, like your Lennon Millers, for example, your Kieran Bowie, who doesn't even get a minute across the camp, which I don't really understand. There was 4 outfield players unused. I noticed Jack Hendry, Dom Hyam, who wasn't in the squad tonight, Josh Doige and Kieran Bowie. And I said Kieran Bowie was a stick-on to start the first game against Denmark, and he doesn't even get a minute. So Steve Clarke's obviously got his own thoughts on where the Scotland strengths lie in that squad. But yeah, it's really annoying, especially when, as you said, the game was wrapped up and there was little to no chance that Belarus were going to come back at 2-0 down, that he doesn't give Kieran Bowie his first cap. So yeah, that was strange, but hopefully, if Kieran Bowie keeps playing like he has done, then he's going to need to be in the squad again come October, and hopefully then he gets his chance to shine on the international stage.
I mean, that must be very, very frustrating for them and Milan players like that. And, you know, I don't want to go back over my points that I've made in the show rig about Stevie Clarke subs, but, you know, he doesn't know when to use them as well. And, like, I bet you if you asked Lennon Miller privately now, I think he would be a bit annoyed coming on with, you know, a few minutes to go. I don't think he got a touch of the ball. As I said, the game was over with 20 minutes to go. Why not bring them on then? Just to get that international experience.
Yeah, exactly that. And he's not getting any of that coming on off the bench for a minute to not touch the ball, as you said, or maybe he did touch the ball, but definitely didn't touch it too many times with the amount of time he was on. So yeah, it's strange because when you're 2-0 up against a team that aren't really threatening your goal at all, then surely that's the opportunity to bring on any player in that squad to give them a real chance to make their mark and impress the manager. But it's like he doesn't even want to do that. He's bringing on players like Lyndon Dykes and Kenny McLean, who we know all about. We know what they're going to offer. We've seen a lot of them, and some Scotland fans would even say we've seen too much of them. And we want these younger players to get the chance because they deserve it, and he's not giving them it. So yeah, that would be the one negative. But ultimately, the performance across the 90 minutes was decent. Got the 2 goals, kept another clean sheet, and progressed to the next camp in a really good place in the group as well. And as I think Ryan, I've just seen his message in the chat, all that matters is we win and get the points. I don't care how bad we play if we get to the World Cup. And yeah, I think Scotland fans would completely agree with that. Obviously, I think you can't go on playing so poorly. You need to be at a good level, especially with the teams in the group. And I think Scotland have played at a decent level so far. It's not an easy. It was never going to be an easy game tonight. Although on paper, Scotland massive favourites going to an empty stadium, a weird environment for the players, despite a lot of them having played in it before. So yeah, what mattered was they got the 3 points and they done it comfortably, getting 2 goals. And Shea Adams, I thought he was good. Obviously, scored the first, involved in the second as well, and that's 10 goals now for him for the national team. And although I said he was in the periphery of the game in the first half, he came into it a lot more in the second half. And yeah, I think he was one of the standout performers. But we'll probably get on to more of the standouts in a second.
Well, so I'm not actually sure what's going on with Telford's audio tonight. But we can see him. We can. I used to be a good rigger back in the day, but I can't work him out this game of night. So hopefully he'll come back as well. You know what? Its audio will come on by 2 minutes to 11. As well, and yeah, but I think that we were talking about before the game as well, Ethan, about that the closed door. I don't know about you, but watching it as a spectator, it kind of really felt a bit weird And for me, just to get into the game because we were that used to getting fans back into the game. Now that the fans weren't at the game tonight. But I suppose like the Scotland players didn't let that get to them, and they put in a you would say a professional performance without being outstanding tonight.
Yeah, exactly that. And it is strange because when the game's a bit flat and Scotland maybe aren't creating as much chances as you would like, which was the case for a lot of the first half, I think it makes the viewing even more boring, you could say, because there's not, it's just noiseless apart from obviously the players shouting on the pitch and stuff like that. But yeah, it is strange. And yeah, well, Scotland obviously won't have to do that again for the rest of the group. But yeah, it's weird, a strange environment, and they got the 3 points, and that's what matters. As you said, it wasn't the best performance we'll ever see from a Scotland team, wasn't the worst, but it was professional and sometimes a difficult game because although Scotland dominated possession, Belarus began the match with more attempts, and they actually had the first shot on target, but they never really threatened Angus Gunn's clean sheet too much. And then Scotland grow into the game and they enforce the sustained pressure, which leads to the goal. But they were always going to make it difficult. They were time wasting at points. They were buying soft fouls. They were getting fouls that were just never fouls. I thought the referee was absolutely terrible tonight. I thought he was really, really bad. One of the worst I've seen in a while. I noted down Nikola Debanovic, the Montenegrin referee. I thought he had an awful game. There was foul throws. They just wasn't given. He missed a clear corner in order to give a goal kick, although I think it kind of cancelled out in the second half with Ben Doak when he tracked back and got lucky. He gave I think 3 or 4 fouls it was against John Souttar on the striker, German Barkowski. For John Souttar pretty much just headed in the ball, which I thought was ridiculous. Ben Gannon Doak got I would say a soft yellow card. Yeah, he goes in and it's a foul, but he gets the ball. Like I don't think that's really a yellow card. And then the worst one of all, I would say, is the tackle on Lewis Ferguson. How Vladislav Kalinin gets away without getting sent off there is beyond me. I seen it back and I was like, that's a horrific tackle. That's got to be checked in VAR and he's got to get a red card, but he didn't. He got a yellow and then he was lucky not to get another yellow as well. And Scotland could have had a penalty as well. Scott McTominay was fouled, one of the clearest fouls you'll ever see. Whether it was in the box or not is debatable, but the fact that he didn't even give it, I just thought he had a really poor game. But luckily enough, Scotland don't need to use that as an excuse because they get the result in the end. But no, I just thought the referee was terrible. So I thought I'd just point it out because if Scotland didn't get the desired result and I was saying it, then I would be seen as someone making excuses. But no, I think it was important that I pointed out how terrible he was because I think he had a really bad game.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It is the Scottish Football Zone. If you've just woke up tonight, where have you been? We have just won our first game of the qualifying for the World Cup, and it sets us up nicely, Ethan, for the 2 games in October. Hampden Park, the games against Greece and Belarus, both at Camden for that one. Yeah, Telford, even though he's having a few technical issues, but he's still watching the show. He's saying easy rig in the second half for me. I would maybe argue the point that they should have been down to 9 men, to be honest with you, because they were putting the boot in tonight, as we say, kind of like in the West of Scotland. Well, let's go back to the first half then. Billy Gilmore was looking quite sharply tonight, and also Scott McTominay as well.
Yeah, I thought Billy Gilmore and Lewis Ferguson, they were okay. I didn't think they had their best games in Scotland shirts, but they were okay and they were solid in the midfield, and they had to deal with that battle, as you said, because Belarus were happy to leave a nasty tackle in there, and luckily it looks like Scotland have came away unscathed on an injury front. But yeah, Scott McTominay, I think, was one of the standouts for me. Probably Scotland's second best player, I would say, on the night. He had that ability to beat a man. Some of his link-up play, his passes, his assist for the goal was just a really good run in the box and a brilliant header to put it on a plate for Adams. And he shows why he's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or for his performances for not only Scotland but Napoli over the last season. And yeah, we're really lucky to have him in the national team. And if you use him properly, like we did tonight, getting him running into the box and threatening from headers, and he had another shot he had a header in the second half, which he kind of headed straight at the goalkeeper, but he also had a shot that he poked wide in the first half, and that's where McTominay's at his best, when he's just got that free roam to make runs into the box and get on the end of crosses, where the other night he was playing a bit deeper, so he didn't really have that license to go and do that. But yeah, I thought Scott McTominay and Billy Gilmore were good tonight. And John McGinn, I thought was decent at points. They all had decent games. I thought the standout by far though was Ben Gannon Doak, one that I think should have started against Denmark. I think he's too good a player to leave out of the starting 11, and he's just really positive every time he gets the ball. He's looking to go forward. He's looking to try and beat a man. He's committing defenders. They were putting 2 and 3 defenders over there to try and deal with him, and he just made it a really hard time for the defence, and he kept committing defenders, and then he would lay it off to a teammate. And yeah, I think he's got to start against Greece if he's fit, and hopefully is, because he was my man of the match for Scotland tonight. And yeah, he's such a good player, and a player that we've not seen for Scotland a while, a winger that's quick and can really beat a man like that, and he's the type of talisman that Scotland could use over the future in the next decade, hopefully, or so, if his career trajectory goes like it should do, because he's a very talented player and he has the world at his feet, as we say.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I'm not actually sure what's happening. Tell for that. We can see you, we can hear you, but we can't hear you. We can see what's coming out of your mouth, but we can't hear you. I'm not actually sure if it's over at your side. Everything's okay over here. But just come back to the. I don't want to put a negative on a positive, if you know what I mean, Ethan. But like, going back to the subs for a minute, right? I know that they made a comment on the chat about Lennon Miller coming on with 2 minutes to go. But I would maybe argue the point that you would like to see kind of like Haskell Berry on the park as well. And I think even though it wasn't a big nation that they were playing against in a brilliant atmosphere, that's still kind of international football, and it's still international football.
Yeah, exactly that. And there's not going to be many chances, you feel, to bring these players in, and you're going to have much chances where there's games in the last 20 minutes, half an hour of a match that Scotland are really comfortable in a game. I think the only other game that I expect that to maybe happen is Belarus in the reverse tie at Hampden against Greece in the 2 games in Denmark at Hampden. There's not going to be an opportunity, I don't think, to bring on players to slowly bring them into the squad in the starting 11, not the starting 11, sorry, the 11 on the pitch at any point, and tonight felt like the perfect opportunity, and he just never done that. And yeah, it's strange because I feel like players, especially like Kieran Bowie, could be a massive part of the qualifying campaign, and he's just not been given the chance as of yet.
And I believe we have got sound from Telfer. I'm sorry, it's the end of the show, Telfer now. No, I'm on the key. Thanks for persevering with it as well. What was your take on the game tonight? I know that you were trying to say your take on the game, but we couldn't hear you. But yeah.
I think it was very professional. I would say our centre-back pairing in the middle of the park, we were quite strong and safe. If you want to pick some negatives, I guess Robertson and Max Johnston were nicked in behind with a couple of long balls over the top, but it's a win at the end of the day. And look back in previous years, 2-2 against Georgia, we struggled in Faroe Islands, Lithuania, always those almost like whipping boys would almost find a way to draw or lose. So yeah, pretty pleased with it. But and a bit gutted for Bowie, even as a Hearts fan. It's similar to the Shankland of a couple of seasons ago. I just don't see why he's so persistent with his own rear guard. But yeah, that's him. He's the manager.
I think that Ethan was making the point that as well, and you probably heard us tell Fat about Brennan Miller on for like the last few seconds and never got a touch of the ball. But I've been saying that as well because I'm not trying to put a negative spin on a good win and 4 points tonight. But like I remember like Ronning Shankland. And you might remember the game that he came on. It was away from home, and we got a point. And the next game, he was on the bench at Hampden. And you're thinking, well, why did he do that for? Because he just came on, he got us a point away from home, and then the next game at Hampden, he was back on the bench.
Yeah, it's just I guess he will go on to be Scotland's most games like fixtures of a manager, so he's obviously done a lot of right, but there's just a lot of pernickety things with his selections, and tonight was a prime example from 60-minute onwards, really.
Yeah, it feels like Steve Clarke's a manager, like a really old-fashioned manager that just isn't really with the times, if you know what I'm trying to say. And of course, he has an older manager, and it's worked for him in the past. He's got us to 2 European Championships. You can't take that away from him. And he had a successful stint at Kilmarnock and West Bromwich Albion, among a few others, I think. So it's obviously the way he plays and the way he takes ages to make his substitutions and all that. It's worked, so that's why he does it. But for us fans, when we want to see players that we see probably as much as he does, especially the ones that play in Scotland, and think we've seen the players, the strikers especially playing for Scotland. I know Shea Adams was good tonight, and he didn't have a bad game the other night either. But just throw Kieran Bowie on, give him a chance, because when you're trying to hand out debuts and sort of grow younger players into the squad, it's a perfect opportunity when you're really comfortable in a competitive setting as well. Not as if it's a friendly match that doesn't really matter. It is a competitive match which could be massive, as all other 5 games in the group will be if Scotland do make it to the World Cup.
And regardless of, even though it's a lowly score of 2-0, like a lot of the smaller nations teams, like you look at progression of Luxembourg, Faroe Islands, even Cyprus to some extent, like we're to come away with a clean sheet and just that 3 points, even though it's a lowly score, they're still gritty, they're still made it difficult for us, which is perhaps maybe why he wants to stick with his own rear guard. And maybe at Hampden when there's a bit more space, if we get an early goal, maybe that was we were just missing that early goal, but then a goal before halftime, we're not going to. That's also very handy as well.
Yeah, and that was a really important time to get the goal as well, because I think if we had went into half time at nothing each, if it was at Hampden, there certainly would have been groans starting to go around the stadium. Obviously, no fans tonight, but yeah, it was good to get that goal, because you never really felt that Belarus were going to get an equaliser or score themselves, and they didn't really threaten that much. And you would have expected that. They had a few chances. Angus Gunn had to make a few decent saves. He had a few dodgy moments with his distribution, but as a whole, I think he was okay again tonight, and I think most of the Scotland starters were. Yeah, I think it's a good night for Scotland, because as we said, although you want them to go and win 5-6 now, it doesn't always work like that, and especially when they're going to obviously make it difficult. And going into the group, they've probably seen that game as their most realistic chance at points at home to us. And yeah, but I believe now it doesn't mean anything, but on Football Meets data, Scotland have moved from the favourites for third place to the favourites for second place now.
I love that site. Save that site for Conference League qualifiers. It's if everyone's a geek in their own way, but I love that site. It's so interesting. I've seen the teams from like Gibraltar, San Marino. It's good.
Yeah, I do enjoy it myself.
I recommend if listening, Football Meets data on Instagram. I follow, they're really good.
Yeah, and the current, I can't remember what we've jumped ahead of Greece in favourites for second. Denmark are still favourites to top the group at 60% chance. Obviously, rightfully so. They're a team that make it to these championships on a regular basis, but we've got the credit in the bank that we've went over there to Copenhagen, got a really positive point, but we still need to beat them at home, or at the very least get a draw. And yeah, I think we should be aiming for first, because second, as we've seen the last time with the World Cup qualifiers, was not very easy. We had that disappointing defeat to Ukraine at Hampden, and then Ukraine went on to lose to Wales. I think that was
that's right. I think it was a late Wales winner, if I'm right.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
1-0 Wales, I think, and with Denmark as well. So it's good to obviously Denmark are a team that reach the finals almost all the time, but we've not got a France, a Germany, a Portugal, or a Spain. So we've got no real big hitters. So it's one that we should always have a realization of going for first. The times have changed. We have made a bit of progression where we can knock a few of the second tier big boys off their shelf, and on time to time, I guess a big hitter as well at home.
I suppose looking at that, it's a while we tell for, but the Denmark game, I think November, December. I'm not actually sure when the dates fall, but that's the last game. But I suppose, it's another big game, but also this game, I think we've got the home advantage as well, so we should use the 60,000 getting behind us.
Yeah, exactly that, and it is unique that all the qualifiers fall in such a short space of time, so there's not really teams fluctuating in form too much. It's all done within the space of 2 months, almost, just maybe over 2 months.
Yeah.
So
2 or 3 months, yeah.
And as a fan, I wonder if that is just as enjoyable, because remember, years ago you'd always have a Gibraltar or San Marino, then you'd have a Kazakhstan or Lithuania, and then you'd have like a Hungary, and then you have maybe like a Norway, and then Norway, then like a Spain or France. So that less teams, I guess the World Cup is expanding, but if a travelling fan or for the Scotland fan that enjoys playing and visiting random countries never visited before, I wonder if that is that the trade off that we will accept if it makes us to our first World Cup in 1998?
Well, I mean, I was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Ethan, but I don't really care who we visit or whatever, or the sun's out or whatever. Long as we get there, but there's something a bit different to this World Cup because, as you say, in Telford, the League Two there's only about 2 or 3 months, and then you find out if you're actually in. And at the World Cup, of you got to play in a playoff game, and I don't know about you guys, but I like that because back in the day when I was younger and all that, it was the idea for a World Cup campaign, and you lose a bit of interest.
Yeah, and that's that. And they're trying to eradicate the friendlies, obviously, because no one really sees the point in international friendlies. They're just a chance for people to get injured, really. And you've got things like the Nations League, which it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'd rather have the Nations League than having to play pointless friendlies. And I know we still did play a couple of pointless friendlies in the summer there against Iceland and
Northern Ireland, was it? Or that was last year?
Yeah, that was yeah. We did play Northern Ireland in a friendly and lost.
Yeah, Conor Bradley stole the show that game, I remember.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, I think friendlies for international certainly are a thing of the past. Maybe I can understand a couple maybe games, warm-up games, or maybe one warm-up game before a tournament to get the players gel together and stuff like that. But just let the teams play in these international competitions, your Euro qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers, because I know some people really enjoy the international breaks, but sometimes they can be really annoying and come at real stupid points of the season. But the fact that they've been consistent with it, and I know they come in a real close time scale, but it's the international break starts. You've got two competitive matches to decide whether you're going to the World Cup. Then you stop, play domestic football again, and then you're back again, 2 matches, domestic football, back again, 2 matches, and it leaves everyone, certainly by Scotland persuasive, really interested in every match that the national team's playing, because every one of them's so essential towards us getting to that World Cup. And yeah, that's why every game, even this one, which is a potential banana skin, which we've seen the national team fall on before, that they got through it pretty easily in the end. But obviously bigger challenges to come in the next camp with Greece at home again, and we want to right the wrongs of the Nations League playoff game at Hampden.
Yeah, Telford Grim's making the point in the chat about the Greece game is going to be a massive game next as well. But again, I keep going back to it. We've got the home advantage, so we should make it count.
Yeah, if we beat Greece, we could effectively kill Greece's chances of qualifying automatically with 2 losses. So they'll come out all guns blazing. So that will be interesting, since it was quite a one-sided game last at Hampden. So yeah, fingers crossed, can put out a performance, get Hampden packed out. Hopefully, SFA put the tickets at 20 to 30, but most likely they won't be. It'll be about 50 or 60, no doubt. But either way, hopefully I'm sure the Tartan Army will pack it out and try and make it a special night again.
Yeah, I agree, and that's it. We need to start making Hampden a fortress again, like it was for that Euro qualifying campaign. And teams like Denmark and Greece should be scared to come to Glasgow and face Scotland, because we have got some really good players, and on our day we can compete with some top teams across the globe, as was shown. Spain went on that ridiculous run without losing a game, and we were the last team to beat them. So yeah, it shows that what we can do on our day, and I think if we're in the right rhythm and flow, then we can be confident. And I see Graham saying it's funny that we've been better away from home. Yeah, we have been recently, and that's it. We need to kind of cut that out because that's not the way it should be. And you look at it, if we manage to win at home to Greece and at home to Belarus, then most likely we will be top or joint top maybe with Denmark possibly.
Yeah, I think joint top. Yeah.
And then as long as we don't lose any of the games, I think we need to beat Belarus at home, we need to beat Greece at home, but Denmark at home and Greece away will be two really difficult games. But then again, we've shown we can beat Greece away, and we've shown we can go toe to toe with Denmark away from home. So yeah, there's no reason why we can't get out of this group, and maybe we should be a bit more confident. But there always seems to be an inevitable ending to this kind of thing for Scotland fans. So you can see where the concern creeps in.
Yeah, hopefully not another glorious failure from the jaws of defeat, as the Scottish sports saying, as we like to call it. But I think I was looking at the Denmark Greece game tonight, and it was Damsgaard, Christensen, and Hoyland. So I've not seen the highlights yet, but Damsgaard and Christensen, obviously defenders. So I don't know if that was two set pieces. So that'll be interesting. And Hoyland grabbed one in the 81st minute.
Yeah, I looked at the stats, and Greece looked like they'd done barely anything. They didn't create a lot at all, which is surprising because I thought that would have been a close game. I said on the post-match show the other night, I wasn't too impressed with Denmark against Scotland. I know Scotland defended well, but I just didn't think Denmark really looked up to much. And I know they created chances and definitely could have won the game, but so could have Scotland. And Greece were on a really good run, especially after that hammering of Belarus in the opening game and beating us as well. I would have expected them to give Denmark a tricky task at home, but Denmark have went over there and won pretty easily. So yeah, they'll be the favourites for the group, and rightfully so, disregarding the fact that obviously we went over there and got a point, but yeah, still massive 4 games left, and need to make sure we can pick up as many points as possible. Ideally win the group, at the very worst get second, and we'll see who we have to deal with in the playoffs. But yeah, I fear that the playoffs would have a certain inevitability to them with how Scotland usually fare in these type of things.
Does anyone know, or maybe people knows in the chat, is it a one-off for the playoff, or is it?
I think it's two rounds of 2 legs. So it's I believe so. It's the 12 group winners from the 12 qualifying groups. Then 12 second places are joined by the 4 best teams the 4 teams who done well in the Nations League who didn't finish first or second to make it 16 teams. Then it goes down to 8 teams after the first round, then 4 after the second round, and the 4 join the other 12 to make 16 UEFA teams, and making up 48 of the World Cup. I believe that's correct. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it is pretty difficult to even go through the playoffs. You need to think that you need to believe that Scotland are a top 16 European team, and the rankings will certainly say we're not, and the recent performances before this campaign will probably say similar, but you never know. The Ducks got to go at some point, surely.
On the face of it, you'd like to think we are, but on the clubs level, I know that club and international is different. We are 16th or 17th in the coefficient race at the moment for clubs. So yeah, we've got to earn our right and try and make the most. There's no better chance to get to the World Cup now with it being extended, and as well for the past Euros have been able to go there. So it's who knows what will happen. Maybe I doubt FIFA will reduce it back to 32, but it's our best chance. And America, Canada, and Mexico, what a trip that would be for our fans. A lot better than you'd rather qualify for that than one in Saudi Arabia. Although you'd hopefully qualify for both, but it's us.
I'm just wondering, Ethan, if the big man is still the president over there. I don't know if they'll be building a wall between America and Mexico in the World Cup, but there you go. Graham was saying the last time we played Denmark at home, we won 2-0 back in 2000 and. Yeah, so there you go. So a bit of optimism there from
It's the
Graham
final
with it.
game of the group. And Shea
Yeah.
Adams scored that night as well.
Yeah, he did.
I thought he played well tonight in parts as well. Telfer.
Yeah, reasonably. I still don't think he's head and shoulders above our other strikers. I'm not saying he's definitely not saying he's not worse, but I don't think there's much difference. But he is playing in a higher league. You could argue, obviously, on the face of it, Torino would wipe the floor with most teams in our league. But he's maybe that's what Bowie, Shankland, who else have we had? Nisbet. Maybe they need to move to the mid-table Bundesliga or mid-table Liga or Serie A.
Yeah, possibly. I was just looking there, and I think there's 23 European teams ahead of Scotland in the club level rankings. 22 if you're not including Russia, who obviously aren't part of the UEFA qualifiers anymore, or at the moment certainly. So yeah, on the face of it, we're not favourites to make it there, but there's no reason why we can't upset the odds and be in the hat, and it would be, as Telfer said, it would be brilliant to get to that one, especially in the States, Mexico and Canada before the Saudi Arabia one, because although I think the Qatar World Cup produced some of the best World Cup moments we've ever seen, the actual I think picture behind it is something I'm not going to get into the
a bit unsavoury, and for fans' experience, it's not one that
yeah, definitely. So yeah, hopefully we can do it, and the first two games gives me certainly confidence that we can do it, and that's what football's about, dreaming. Inevitably, probably to be shot down, but you never know, and I'm confident we can do it. Not going to put my neck on the line and say we will qualify as of yet, but maybe after the Greece game I'll make some big calls.
Book your flights to America and Mexico. But yeah, I mean, Scotland definitely likes to be kind of underdogs, because the games that you're expecting Scotland to win, they always maybe drop points. But the games that you're not, that the games that you write off Scotland tell for, they win. So you never know against Greece.
You never know. Be interesting, obviously. I remember that young Karetsis, I think his name was, ripped us apart. A young 18, 19-year-old, maybe even be 17, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, he stole the show. So you've got Robertson versus Samikas. Can't remember who else. I think they're just a formidable team who've got players in the top leagues of Central Europe.
Yeah, they've got. I'll just go through a few that started tonight. They've got Christos Cholis, who scored for Club Brugge against Rangers in the recent qualifier. Vangelis Pavlidis, the Benfica striker. Yanis Konstantilias, who was really good against Scotland as well. Who else here do I recognise? Georgios Vagianidis, the Panathinaikos, he was Panathinaikos right back. He's now at Sporting. He was sent off at Ibrox when Panathinaikos were reduced to 10 men and Rangers won that match 2-0. So yeah, they've got quality players as well, and they'll back themselves. They've obviously got very recent previous at Hampden, so yeah, they'll be confident for similar reasons that we are. We are the team in form. they were in form before. They were probably quite a sobering defeat for them tonight. But yeah, they'll still feel they can bounce back and at least go for second and maybe even first. They've got a return game in at the Parken against Denmark, and yeah, I think we speak about the home advantage and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I think everyone overplays how influential home advantage actually is at some points. If a team doesn't turn up on a day, then it doesn't really matter whether they're home or away. Then if a team's good enough, like a Greece or a Denmark, they will just beat you, and that's what Scotland can't afford to do. They need to be play at the very least the same levels they've played in the opening two games throughout the next four, and they'll definitely have a chance.
Yeah, so Hampden can on time work against you if the fans get on your back and if it's quiet and they get an early goal, and it's not a good place to be and it's an eerily quiet Hampden, shall we say. So yeah, it's vitally important that we play with a high tempo. We play for a win. We don't just play for a 1-0 and a goal in the last 10 minutes. I think that's really important. We try and take the game to them with a high press. Obviously, not gung-ho, but I think it's important that we do. You think back to the game against Switzerland and Hungary in the Euros. I think the game was there for the taking a little bit in Denmark. I think we just need to give ourselves a bit more optimism. And there's nothing wrong with changing it at half-time or even earlier or later if we go a goal down, if they put us under pressure. But I feel we've got that spine of that midfield who love to attack, who love to make assists running behind. Obviously, we are just missing a world-class number 9 or 10, but there's no reason why we can't utilise our front four, McGinn, McTominay, Christie, sometimes Doak.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, and that's something I pointed out on Friday night, despite the fact that I think Steve Clarke got the team right because we got a point in a really tough place to go, as we know, but I just think he could have made maybe the attacking subs a little bit earlier, and I know he starts with two strikers, but it wasn't really a kind of that attacking way the team was put out. And yeah, I think if we want to get to the World Cup, we're going to need to take a little bit more chances at points and not kind of wait to see what the other team are going to do, and we need to sort of stamp our authority on the matches. Obviously, we've done that tonight, but you're expected to do that against Belarus. I'm talking about against Denmark at home, against Greece at home. Of course, going away to Greece is a difficult game, and you ride your luck in the away games. And I know I just made the point about there's not that. Sometimes we over play the home via away narrative, but yeah, that's what we've done exactly the last time in Piraeus when we beat Greece 1-0. They had a lot of chances, especially in the second half. I don't know how they didn't score. We obviously scored through the Scott McTominay penalty, which won us the game on the night. And then at home, we just collapsed, really, and Greece were by far the better team. But when we play our best and we play positively, then I think we can give most teams in the world a game. And yeah, I completely agree with the Euro point about the Switzerland and Hungary games were certainly there for the taking, and we just didn't do it. Especially Hungary was so disappointing because Hungary were really poor on that day. I thought they were worse than what I actually expected them to be. They just sat off us completely, and we just didn't know what to do with having the ball, and because it's not really our style. And but yeah, we need to be well versed in playing both off the ball and on the ball. And I know it's difficult when you've got a certain style you want to play, but when you've got 50,000 people at Hampden wanting you to entertain them and win the match, then sometimes you've got to go and chase goals and put pressure on the opposition.
And even going back to the Spain game, we did put them under pressure. It wasn't like our backs to the wall. At times you have to ride that, of course, but yeah, it's important that we build like Robertson, Hickey, Johnston can make the odd overlap, try and take players on.
And I know I was saying Telford early on about that shock score tonight because I wouldn't have put Denmark to go away 3-0, but that's even more important now because Fun enough, the next game is against Greece at Hampden, and they'll be coming looking for all 3 points. They wouldn't want to get beat two games back to back, so we need to be up for it. So that's even more why it's important that we picked up 4 points in the last 2 games.
Of course, and the pressure, you can argue, will be slightly more on them. So it's important that we use that to our advantage.
Yeah, and looking at the fixtures, if Scotland, that's a big if, of course. We'll need to see where the injuries lie, but it is only a month or so down the line. But if Scotland were to beat Greece at Hampden and then beat Belarus at Hampden, Scotland would be on 10 points. Greece would be on, would still be on the 3, depending on what they've done in their second game, which is against Denmark away. And if Denmark were to beat Greece there, then that's both us and Denmark on 10, Greece on 3, and Belarus on none, you would imagine. Then Greece are out, and they haven't maybe got anything to play for, and maybe going over there to Piraeus becomes a wee bit easier of a task. And I know it doesn't always work out that way, but and I know we're talking about big ifs here, but it could pan out very well for Scotland with how the fixtures line up, and we could be going into that. What is it? The last game we played Denmark? Yeah, the last game at home to Denmark could be a
cup final shootout for first.
Yeah, shootout for first, exactly that. And I don't know if it's head to head or goal difference which decides. I think it is head to head. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say it's head to head. So all we would need to do on the night is beat Denmark regardless of goal difference, and we're into the World Cup. But obviously that's saying that we're going to win the next 4 games. But we can definitely be optimistic about it, and that's good, because I certainly didn't think I'd be optimistic about this campaign just months ago when we were losing to Iceland and getting thrashed off Greece at Hampden. But here we are, and football's a funny old game.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to work out here, Telfer, and I think if we, it's buts and maybes, and maybe this will come back to bite me and Ethan, and we can replay the show if we're wrong. But I think if we can get 4 points at the next 2 games, I think we're just about there. I'm not hoping for anything away to Greece, but then again, football's a fun game, as I say. And if we can make even a point or 3 points even better at home to Denmark in the last game.
Yeah, I think we would all take a 50-50 shootout with Denmark for first. You snatch your hand off for that at the start, the draw. So yeah, of course, fingers crossed. We're Scottish football fans. We're always forever optimistic, regardless of where we are in the rankings, of course. So
and even if we were to, and this is a big if again, we're talking about, I think we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves here, but we're allowed to.
We won the World Cup.
No, I was saying, if we beat Greece home and away and beat Belarus as well at home, you would expect us to beat Belarus at home, no excuses. Then even if we draw against Denmark and then we would go out on goal difference, you would imagine, if Denmark are putting more goals past Greece and Belarus in that time, which they already have done, despite playing the more difficult fixture of the two, then even then you can carry a lot of confidence into the playoff round, and that would be a full campaign. We've went through unbeaten 6 games with 2 really solid European sides in there. Then there's no reason why we can't be confident going into the playoffs as well. So yeah, there is a lot to like at the moment as Scotland fans. Maybe Steve Clarke's sort of, maybe you could call negative style of play at times, and sort of substitutions especially could be a wee bit better, but we're sitting in a good position, and if we take a game at a time, then you never know what we can do. But I think Greece at home could sort of be the make or break game for our campaign, really. And if we get a win there, certainly, then I'll be really confident in us to make it there, and that's what you want as a Scotland fan. Although they say it's the hope that kills you, then at least we've got some hope, because then we'd be cheering for nothing.
And now it's back to football, back to the bread and butter Telfer of the weekend. But when was the last thing you saw that? When was the last thing you seen that? Well, Scotland's had 4 points while doing well. Oh no, back to club football.
Yeah, it's exciting times. Some big crunch fixtures this weekend. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So there you go. So if you dig into the reminding, big score coming out of Greece tonight. Greece 0, Denmark 3. That's still can't believe that. Actually away from home. And also Scotland winning 2-0 away from home. And we'll be back we'll be back in October, but we'll be back on Friday for the weekend preview, looking at the weekend games. And next week, I think the European action kicks off as well. So busy couple of weeks. Thanks to Telfer for persevering. And it wasn't second time lucky, it was fifth time lucky for Telfer tonight. So thanks to Ethan as well. Thanks to all your comments. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, get a move on. We're on the Scottish Football Zone on YouTube. Subscribe, and every time we go live, you will get a notification, and you can watch us live. The only way that you can watch Scottish football. And so we'll see you on Friday live at 5. And it's a good couple of nights for Scotland. 4 points. Wow. Bye.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.